Okay. Today's rendering challenge is going to be a interesting portal. Okay. Um, how do we want to go about doing this? Let's start and let's Google some reference. We could do like a Portal 2 style portal. Maybe we could do something like this. Maybe something like that. Maybe there's a swirl involved in this. I don't know. I really like Stargate. So why don't I do something like that? Not exactly like Stargate, but similar. Let's go ahead and add a cylinder. Or no, let's add a cube. And we'll add an array modifier. We'll add a plane axes. Rotate along the Y 22.5 degrees, and you'll see why here in a second, because we're going to make this an object offset for our array modifier, targeting this empty. Or actually we want to, and we'll actually increase the amount to 16. So you can see our portal sort of just expand like that. And maybe it needs to be adjusted in the Y direction. Oh, the Z direction, I mean. -0.5. Okay, that looks perfect to me. And now what we can do is we can add a little bit of pizzazz to our cube. Yeah, we can maybe add and all these modifiers will be before, I guess. We'll add, why don't we add a bevel to all of them? We'll add a subdivision surface. And the bevel helps us like sharpen our edges. And we actually want it to subdivide simple. Why don't we do it like 3? Sure. And we'll add a displace modifier. A new texture with local coordinates, or actually we'll use global coordinates, so each of these will be displaced at a different amount. And then for the texture, why don't we use not a magic, maybe a marble? Yeah, why don't we use marble? Sure. And for this, we want the strength to be a bit lower. Yeah, so that looks good to me. Maybe we want a bit more geometry. Yeah, a little bit more geometry is fine with that. How does it change if we update the displacement of our array modifier. Okay, yeah, we want the array before the display, so it's fine at the base, sure. And we'll add one more subdivision modifier. So that it's nice and smooth. Yeah, that looks good to me. But we'll just turn this off in the viewport and have this object shade smooth. Get some weird artifacting in the corners. But here, wait, just to check it out. Maybe we want it to shade smooth by angle. Would be nicer. You know what, these are alien rocks. Who cares? Who cares? Hop into our shader. New, and we'll call this portal frame. And we'll start off, why don't we add, we'll add a sun. And we'll make this like a daytime scene. I guess, why don't we have it like, oh yeah, here's an idea. We'll have it like cast like a massive shadow on the ground. Yeah, I like that. We want a real sense of scale for this, I think. Okay, that seems good to me. And then for the material, why don't we do like noise texture? Just make that like the normal, I guess. Make it big. Or maybe we want that instead of the bump. Like that. A little bit of that. Get the displacement. And we'll give it a moment. Let it figure itself out there. Awesome. So that's a bit much right now. And here we'll solo it just so we can zoom in easier. Also add our sun to our solo. Awesome. So yeah, this material, the distance is too much. 0.1, too high still, 0.01. Okay, that's much better. Right? And then for the color, why don't we do like no, why don't we add another noise texture? Sure. And it's a bit slow today, but that's okay. Maybe we can make this 0 and make it a bit easier on ourselves. Actually, you can even just have none of these display in the viewport at the moment, just the array. And that'll do for our purposes of just making this easier and quicker even to texture. And we'll add, how much time we got? 20 minutes, awesome. For the colors, we'll control that with a color ramp. Where I think we do want it black and white. We do want it like, not black and white, but like sort of monochrome like that. But instead of that, I'm gonna make it a brown to, I don't know, maybe this can be like a nice dark green. And that can be, that can be sort of a mossy growth on our rocks. Now this is too saturated at the moment. Bring that in. And the moss should be saturated like that. So we have our sun for our shadow. Let's go ahead and add, oh, and we want it to be very rough. And in fact, why don't we add, this is one of my favorite effects to add to a render. We can add a Voronoi texture to the roughness. And you'll see you get this really super cool, like carbon fibery effect almost. Maybe we want, maybe it should be the color instead, to have these sharp edges. Yeah, that's what we want. So we'll add that to the output. And we'll go ahead and add a map range node in between, because we don't want any perfectly smooth surfaces. That looks good to me. So now we'll add like a big glowing glob there in the center, maybe. That sounds good to me. Which we can do using a UV sphere. Yeah, sure, that's the center. And we'll do selection to cursor. And we'll scale this up on every axis except the Y. So we'll make it like a disk in the center. And why don't we do some proportional editing on this to sort of, make it warbly a bit. So yeah, that looks good to me. We also want this to be shaded smooth. And we'll add subsurf. Oh, and actually, I just realized that'll actually optimize things quite a bit, even. Anyways, so that'll be good for that. And then for shading, let's leave solo view. Oh, and why don't we top view. That looks good. And we don't want this to cast a shadow. So we'll make a new material and we'll call this the portal. And for starters, we'll add a gradient texture. I think we want radial question mark. Use UV coordinates. I'll use object coordinates. No, maybe we want, yeah, we'll do a sphere. Generated, awesome. Okay, that's what we want. So let's go ahead and scale this down. 5, 1, no, okay. Why don't we move it around? So that's not what we want. Move it on the X. Move it on the Z. And instead of scaling it, yeah, why don't we just like move it back a bit? Tap it over, tap it down, tap it forward, tap it forward. Okay, that's awesome. That's good to me. Or even, you know what? I wonder if that will work. The color ramp. Crank up the IOR a bit. Yeah, okay, that'll do. That'll do for me. Actually, wait. So we'll start with that. And make that the color. And we actually want it to be the alpha as well. Back to the sphere. We want more of a gradient in between. We want to be able to like tune up the gray values even. That. Awesome. And then we'll use that for the alpha. And for the materials, blend mode, alpha blend, shadow mode, none. Actually, we want to invert this. Red color. And we can make it like a blue so we can see what we're working with. Backface culling. Vashed. Okay, so we can see some of that. We can see through it a bit. But I also want to give this an emission. Like a 4. Get blue. No. Add a point light instead. E. Okay, actually, I'm liking the look of this. Why don't we make it instead of blue, we'll make it like purple. Okay. noise texture, color ramp, a get hazier, hazier, some speckles, awesome, but instead of that, get like a white. Instead of white, make it like a dark purple. And instead of white light, we'll make it, I don't know, blue. And add a modifier. How much time do we have left? 10 minutes. Okay, we're in a good spot, but I'm not really happy with the way this looks. So I want it to kind of feather out a bit towards the edge there. So maybe you duplicate this, hide it, and we'll call it good. We'll call this completed, but I'd like to experiment with the volume. So why don't we try principal volume? Plug it in there, and ooh yeah, I'm wondering if that's more sort of what I was going for. And yeah, the hashed, no, none. Clip, off a blend. Just a real quick. What is it? Control Alt 0. There. Camera view. We'll do a quick render of this just to see if it is actually going to come out in a square, in which case I'll find what render settings I have to change for that. Otherwise, we're going to give it a moment and see how it goes. 7 minutes, still good. Okay, so it does render as a square. That's not what we want. For volume, I think in our render settings, we can change something for that. Volumetrics, tile size 16, tile size 2, tile size 8 pixels. So what if we have that as our density? How does that work? Volume and shape of a square, Blender, EV. Okay, so it looks like a gradient, a sphere into the density is what I want. And I think that's what I have. But it's still coming off coming out in this sort of cube shape. So maybe, oh, it might be because this. Oh. Make it ease. Ah, it's because of this guy. Get rid of that. Okay, there we go. Did anisotropy do? I don't know. Oh, no emission. Okay, honestly, yeah, that's a portal. You... Let's make it like, I don't know, dark. Vernoy, roughness. Same thing. But scale like 100, 1,000, 200. Good. Min 0.5. Min 0.6. Right? Okay. Bump. Height. And displacement. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and light it a bit more. So we have the point light. Why don't we add like an area light? X. 1,000 watts. Turn our camera again. View. Get like 500 watts. a subsurf to this. All right, no opportunity for the subsurf, so let's render this. And let's remove the time, the Blender logo, render image, and let's see how we did. So to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm too happy with this. I went for a more realistic style, whereas I usually model in a more cartoony, like open quote, like close quote, like anime style. I don't think that's really captures what I like to model. Um, but it's a good enough descriptor that I'll like, I guess I'll let it slide. Um, Yeah, this is fine. I went for a more realistic style. I'm not very good at realism, as you can see, but hey, that's the point of practicing. So, yeah, thanks for watching.